This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Right out of the door!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Because I'm the Mark and I'm awesome!
The Guru.
Today I'm going to break it down for all you simpleton sweat hogs listening out there in Can Crusher Nation. I don't mean to come out here week after week and toot my own horn, but toot.
And the English Professor.
It is I, the English professor from the County of Kings, speaking the English of the Queen.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
And it's time for another Can Crusher Spotlight. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and holy cow, we have a awesome. It's definitely awesome. It's an awesome interview today with Dontae Smiley, former SOAR Heavyweight Champion, and this guy's made it on AEW Dark. So, of course, we have a lot of questions for him. One being, how is the spread on AEW Dark? You know, we found out that the WWF, WWE spreads are amazing. We like knowing about the food and what they have backstage and stuff like this. Dontae and I talked a little bit before this, and we have some stuff in common. This is unbelievable. And Dontae's got a future business plan or something going like that. A lot to find out about Dontae and what's going on, but the main thing is, maybe what was some good food that he ate at AEW. Guys, I can't wait. Dontae's got some great stories to tell us, so we're going to get right into it. But first, we have to tell you about Collar and Elbow. Collar and Elbow, guys, hats, hoodies, tees. You hear it all the time on our show, how we love this apparel. Right now, I got my Macho Man one on. Finally did the wash in a couple weeks. No, it's not been that long. I've just pulled it back out. I've been wearing it a lot, but got my Macho Man, which is actually Head and Al Snow. You know I love this one. The comfort, it just fits great. And we have a promo code for you. It's Can Crushers. All one word, capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. You'll save 10%. And here comes Al Snow. And then we return King Prime, Dontae Smiley.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. You guys know that I'm super stoked to have my next guest on. He is a former SOAR World Champion. You have seen him on AEW Dark. He is the King Prime. He is Dontae Smiley. Dontae, how are you doing today? And welcome to Can Crushers.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on. I'm doing great on this day, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Hey, before we get into everything, how was your holiday season?
Oh, man, my holiday season was awesome, you know what I'm saying? To get in to see my daughter, enjoy the things that she enjoys about the Christmas season and then the New Year's season and how excited she gets makes it that much more excited to me because it's all about her now. So she's happy, I'm happy.
For sure. That's the same, That's the same thing we focused on this year was like taking care of family. We just kind of settled back and we didn't go any place. We made sure the three of us sat around and enjoyed Christmas this year with everything going on. Dontae, we got my son a dog, and it was probably the worst thing I could have done, though. He is a pistol.
That's funny, man, because I got my daughter a dog for Christmas also.
No way!
But, yeah. We went to the animal shelter out here in our area and, went and adopted a about 1.5, 2-year-old, Staffordshire Bull Terrier named Midnight. And my daughter's in love, man. It's awesome to see the joy in kids' eyes and face when, they get something like that.
It really is. I'm pretty jealous of you because yours is 2 years old, so it kind of knows the rule of the roost, right?
Right, yeah. No, it was actually like fully house trained and lets us know when it needs to go outside. It's very disciplined, doesn't chew things up, doesn't need a kennel or anything like that. She sleeps just on her little bed pad thing that we have at the edge of the bed, man, and, she's good to go. She's got some energy for sure, but we're able to handle that throughout the day, and I take her on runs at nighttime. So by the time we come back, she's typically blown up and wants to go to bed at that point.
Speaking of energy, my God, mine is doing laps in the house right now. I don't want to say this because my wife listens sometimes and she's not here right now, but I don't know if I could ever do a puppy again. Like, it's a lot of work. I love him. His name's Max, but I love him. He's too much for this fat 43-year-old guy. He really is.
But and I mean, training dogs in general is not easy. That's why I'm glad I was able to find a dog where we're able to skip all of that, because that was the one thing I didn't want to do, because I actually have a second kid on the way that's due in April, and the last thing my wife and I wanted to do was be having to change diapers and pick up poop off the ground from the dog.
Well, congratulations. I didn't know that about you, about having your second child. That's awesome.
Thank you, yeah.
All right, let's get into it a little bit. 2020 was a little bit of a rough year for you in and out of the ring. You battled promoters, the pandemics, Nate Lawson all over the place. Let's first start about the pandemic. I mean, this way we get it out of the way. It's 2021. We shouldn't be talking about it, but how did you manage that? I don't know how much Texas was shut down compared to Pennsylvania, but how'd you manage that time away from the ring?
I mean, Texas was shut down, like fully on lockdown for like a month and a half. It wasn't crazy long. Our governor, Greg Abbott, kind of, got everything back to order, and everything's just kind of opened up in phases more. So, like, everything opened up 25%. And then it was like 50% capacity, and then 75, then we went back down to 50. So luckily a lot of the spaces, outside of that time that the whole state was locked down, once we got back to doing wrestling shows, obviously a limited capacity, but the thing is, if you have a place that has an occupancy of 500 people and you could be at 50% in that place, that's still 250 people total that you could fit in there, space them out with mask or whatever else, that you're allowed to do. So it's just making sure you abide by that way, if the officer comes by or anything happens, nobody's trying to shut you down. People have their mask on and, so on and so forth. So we weren't down crazy long, probably 2 months total, because it took a couple weeks, obviously, of promotion to get that first show going and let people know that, SOAR was doing it right. And, the other places, Chaotic Kingdom out in Arkansas, and, everywhere was doing it right, man. So, like I said, it wasn't shut down long, and we were able to kind of, have a couple months off, let the bodies heal, and then we were right back to it. Just, things were just a little bit different as far as, the fanfare goes.
You guys also, right now, could have some wrestling outside in Texas, correct? I mean, it gets cold, but right now we have about 6 inches of snow outside, so we cannot have any wrestling in Pennsylvania right now.
Right, yeah. No, you can have shows outside or inside, and some places where, I've been doing a lot of outside shows. I know, like, Booker T's Reality of Wrestling down in Houston has been doing a lot of outside shows, most of this time, and I know a few other promotions in the area that have done, some outside shows, but, you can do outside or inside right now. Like, outside, you could obviously have maybe a little bit more capacity because it's outside. You're probably in a big parking lot somewhere. And so it's not as limited with keeping space where it's inside. Like I say, if you have 500 people, 500 occupancy and it's at 25%, you know what I mean? Then we're only able to fit, 125 so people in there. And that's including the wrestlers, including the workers and, all that kind of stuff, in the venue. And so, there's a little bit of trick to the trade, but if you play it smart, you can still, be successful and get across what you want to get across. Because also the one thing 2020, to say the least, has blessed the wrestling business with is caused everybody to get a little bit more innovative on how they throw them shows, from throwing them outside to shooting without audiences and putting shows up for pay-per-view to keep storylines going, or, some of that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So it's caused everybody to kind of think outside the typical box of just throwing the monthly or weekly shows and able to create some different special opportunities to get the products out to the fans still.
And there's been some crazy stuff out there, good and bad. I mean, we won't slam anything, but good and bad. Some of the stuff that's come out of 2020 for wrestling is phenomenal. And yeah, right. I can't wait to see where it goes. But let's talk about your issues in SOAR now. I said you were your former champion because
right.
You, the promoters and Nate Lawson there are just kind of crooked, aren't they?
Yeah, the thing, it's all about playing the game. You know what I mean? Ever since even the night that I won the championship back in like May or June, Sir Mo pinned me up against. I won my first match at the tournament, won my second match, and in the final match, he made me face 3 different people. Beat the first one, he brought somebody else. Beat them, he brought out Jackie Parker Jr., and then I beat him, and he didn't have anybody else. So I became champion, and then myself, along with my stable, the Chaotic Kingdom, with Jay Sosay, we got D. Anthony Price, and my tag team partner Todd Wilson. With their protection and watching my back, we were able to make sure the title stayed on me as long as it could with everything that was going on, because it was kind of a DTA situation with everything that was going on. I didn't know who to trust outside of my group of people, you know what I mean, that had always had my back. But Mo tried to throw everything at me, and then when it came down to it, he put a stipulation in my match contract against Nate Lawson that said if I lose, that I would not be able to go after the SOAR Heavyweight Championship for a full calendar year from that date, so December 5th till next year, this year now, in 2021. And so that was one stipulation. But then there was somebody that found out about that for us and told Jason Maldonado, who is somebody in management that is on my side and looks out for me, about that stipulation. So Jason went and changed Nate's contract to have that, to make everything fair. But unfortunately, Nate showed up like he was supposed to for that match. And, it was one of them situations where Nate had a lot more to lose in that match than even I did as the champion, just because everything he had gone through throughout the year and everything I had put him through, because there was no coming back to SOAR Championship Wrestling if Nate lost that match. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, for me, he did everything that he was supposed to do in that match, and he was able to keep me down for the typical 3 count, and that was that. Regardless of what happens, if I get up right after the 3 count, it don't matter, because the 3 count happened, and it did. So congratulations to him. He did what he was supposed to, which was take down the man.
Now it's just building from then until your next possible title shot in December, right?
Yeah, correct. Exactly. And, there's other opportunities that are out there. SOAR Championship Wrestling just recently joined an organization called the OIWA that has like 9 other different promotions up under it. So there's a lot of traveling opportunity within that also. But SOAR joined that, Chaotic Kingdom Wrestling joined that, which is the company that Jason owns out in Sherwood, Arkansas. And the OIWA is actually having a 2-ring Super Rumble on January 23rd, where the 2 people surviving in one ring and 2 people surviving in another go on later in the night to have a fatal 4-way match to become the first ever OIWA International Heavyweight Champion. And so I'll be in that Rumble. I was actually the first person that OIWA called to contract for that night. And so that says a lot also, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of wrestlers out there that they could have contacted to be in the Rumble for, the title hunt, but they called me first to be in it, so that says a lot. I was the first round draft pick for IWA, to say the least.
Is that available on like IWTV, or do they stream it or anything for our fans to be able? That will be
right. Yeah. If people have the Roku or Fire Stick, or like a Roku TV, even via the device or the TV, Fire Stick TV or device, they can download the app for OIWA on there. They can download the SOAR Championship Wrestling app. the Chaotic Kingdom app. And then after the 23rd, all the other promotions that are up under the OIWA will all have their stuff under the OIWA channel also. Like, everything will be able to be streamed inside of there. There will be a pay-per-view also where it can be streamed live. Usually we run our pay-per-views, I think, for most of those promotions, if I'm not mistaken, through Facebook, because Facebook allows pay-per-views to be ran now. So people just kind of have to, be searching for OIWA, search for the 2-Ring Super Rumble, and they'll be able to find the links there or on the SOAR Championship Wrestling website. They have the links for the OIWA tickets for that show also on the 23rd.
It's so amazing how much wrestling is out there nowadays. As I said, I was 43. I really got the NWA, the AWA, and the WWF. Didn't know anything about a lot of the regional stuff and everything. And the regional stuff is carrying, and this is me saying this, so you can agree or disagree, is carrying wrestling today, because everybody wants to see the stars of tomorrow. It's great to see, no disrespect to AJ Styles and all those people like that, but to see you coming up, theoretically only about 7 years into the business, but to sit down in Arkansas or Texas or wherever and say, I saw Dontae Smiley wrestle his first match, and now I've grown with him. It's more of a connection this way, right?
Right. And that's a beautiful thing about wrestling, because, that's how it was back in the golden days of wrestling, when it was blowing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, before, Big Corp became, with WCW and WWF back then, now started doing their things on the massive scale that they ended up doing it. But it was all kind of territorial, and then you kind of had the NWA that was like the majors, and they had their champion that would hit all these different territories and, fight their stars of tomorrow, possibly fight the next champion, the who's who of those areas. And from what I know about the OIWA, that's kind of exactly what they're looking to do with that company is be, kind of like that NWA, where they have people traveling these territories from different places, because, part of the OIWA is companies from Canada. There's companies from Australia. There's companies from Portland, Oregon area. There's a company from the Florida area, from Texas, from Arkansas, from South Carolina. So there's a lot of companies involved, without me saying too much right now. But people are going to really need to be on the lookout for the OIWA and what it's about to have to offer. And, a lot of the athletes that I'm kind of seeing them reach out to and recruit as of right now. Because wrestling's in a beautiful spot, man. It's in a beautiful spot because there's a lot of different flavors out there for people to have. It's not just this or that anymore. It's all of this, man. It's the whole candy store worth of stuff, and you get to put different flavors in the bag and fill it up. Get your cup of tea, because everything's so accessible too. So if somebody hears about something here in Texas that's out of New York and they want to see it, they can go online or download an app or get the pay-per-view or look up highlights because of what we have today, which is the internet, which helps make wrestling that much greater, because now there's all these different avenues and ways for us just to get the product out. And wrestling's in the best spot right now than it has been in years and years and years, I could assume, for sure.
It really is. It really is. All right, let's do the rewind that we always like to do on our show. Who was the first person to introduce you to wrestling? Grandma, grandpa, mom, dad? How did you find this crazy thing when you were a little Dontae?
It was definitely my dad, man. My dad had been a wrestling fan since he was young. So, my dad was born in 62, and he's been a wrestling fan since then, because his dad and their parents and family showed him. So when I was young, he used to always kind of have the Monday Night Raw or, WCW Nitro and, all and all that kind of stuff on, you know what I mean? And I would just sit there and watch it. And then there's this dude that came across the screen one day that was called Rocky Maivia. And, when he was with the Nation of Domination and first joined and I liked him back then. I liked his style, even though he wasn't the Rock that obviously we know him to be back then. I think anybody that watched him grow the moment he joined the Nation realized that he was going to be a stud one day. And I fell in love with that dude back then as a wrestling fan, you know what I'm saying? And then watching him really become the Rock just kind of revolutionized wrestling in my eyes. It made it that much bigger. Then you got Stone Cold and Vince McMahon back then having problems with everybody. And I was a huge X-Pac fan, and a DX fan in general. And, Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair is a big inspiration to me. And even somebody like Rick Rude, who was towards the end of his career at that time that I was finding it, But, you know, he was still around, you know, doing his thing. And, man, just so many generations of wrestling from the past to the present at that time coming out and getting to watch all those different styles and seeing those flamboyant personalities and just those, you know, some of the greatest promos that were ever written during that time. You know what I mean? It was just a huge inspiration. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't have found it like that. My mom took me to my first actual wrestling show when the Ministry of Darkness, it was probably like in 97, 98 somewhere. And the Ministry of Darkness was just getting started, and they were feuding with DX. And I remember the night we went to that Monday Night Raw because the Ministry of Darkness found X-Pac in the back and, like, brutally beat him. And I was a huge X-Pac fan at this time and things. And, you know, they brutally beat him and, like, drug him out, bleeding on the ground. And so, dude, it was such a scene. I'm pretty sure I cried back then when I was watching it when they were doing it, my God. You know what I'm saying? But that's the beautiful thing about wrestling is drawing that kind of emotion out of people to where they're that invested into the story, that invested into the character, that invested into what's going on in this person's life at that time. Because that's exactly what our job is to suspend reality for everybody that's watching and get them emotionally invested in exactly what we're doing in the ring at that time.
So much to cover right there. One well said. I was a huge Rocky Maivia fan before he even joined the Nation. It clicked a little bit more when he was in the Nation. I might get some heat. I love The Rock, so don't think I'm pandering on him at all. But I thought that's when he became the movie star of The Rock. You know, that he was always pushed in your face, and not like Roman Reigns was pushed in your face, but I like the younger Rock stuff. I really do. Don't get me wrong. Classic matches across the board, without a doubt. He's an all-time superstar. You don't hear a lot of people saying that they're huge X-Pac fans. That's ballsy, Dontae. That really is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was a huge X-Pac 1, 2, 3 kid, man. I was all about it. I was watching, you know, back in the day, even when I got into wrestling, started really, like, studying old matches, just kind of further my education through watching some stuff. I watched a lot of his, like, GWF, you know, his Global Wrestling Federation stuff back when he was still the, you know, 1, 2, 3 kid and things like that, man. Because there's actually some subdivisions for, you know, Global Wrestling Federation. There's one here in the Metroplex that's, you know, what's called GWF Onslaught, which is Global Wrestling Federation Onslaught, which is kind of like a younger version of, you know, the old school GWF. But the guy that ran it out here, Justin Bell, at one point in time, I had the GWF Light Heavyweight Championship at one point in time, and I had her carried it for about a year and a half. And, you know, that's a title that, like, Jerry Lynn had at one point in time. And 1, 2, 3 kid had at one point in time was the GWF Light Heavyweight Championship. And so it was awesome to be able to carry that title and know the history that came from that, especially that, you know, from my younger years, one of my former, you know, favorite wrestlers from my younger years, and, you know, X-Pac 1, 2, 3 kid was a former GWF Light Heavyweight Champion at one point in time. It was just an honor to be able to be stewarded with holding that title, you know, for the time that I did while I was a champion before I dropped it.
You brought out that wrestling brings a lot of emotion out, and we touched on it, but what a great year for wrestling to bring out emotion. And 3 hours on Monday, and, you know, I'm not going to run down the whole schedule of wrestling, but it's nice that wrestling carried us marks or nerds or whatever the people out there want to call us, to suspend us from coronavirus for that long. So I know this is the first time we're talking to you, but I want to say thank you, because watching stuff on YouTube or, you know, wherever we all caught your stuff, AEW Dark, which we're going to get to, for that little bit of time, you kept America or whatever everybody was watching corona-free, essentially, because we just took that time. So that's my big thing this year is I want to thank everybody we talked to, because you kept me sane throughout the year, buddy.
Of course. No, thank you, man. You know, we do. Obviously, you know, a lot of wrestlers get enjoyment. We obviously get enjoyment out of what we do, but, you know, more so we get enjoyment out of seeing the byproduct of, you know, how the fans are feeling in those times. You know what I mean? That's why the art, as I say, of professional wrestling and storytelling properly and suspending reality for people in the, you know, the 10, 15, 20, 30 hour that we have while we're in the ring and doing our job to give the fans everything they had, you know, everything that they deserve and that we can, to, like you say, just take them away from what's going on in the real world have them emotionally invested for, said time frame that we're able to do what we're doing. So thank you.
No problem. What was the deciding factor of you getting into wrestling? Because everybody wants to be a wrestler when they're younger,
right.
But, theoretically, I'm 5'8", 240, balding,
right.
43 at now. I'm not getting into the ring. If I get into the ring, Brandy Rhodes is taking my ass out. But, what was that deciding factor? Because you were huge into sports as well. You could have had other directions, right?
Correct. I was actually a musician before I was a wrestler. I was a rapper. So I was doing even small local tours. I was traveling a little bit. I had albums on iTunes and all that kind of stuff. But I ran a wrestling podcast called Yes, It's a Wrestling Show, because there were no wrestling podcasts in the area at that time, really. So my tag team partner, Ty Wilson, at this time, neither one of us were wrestling. But he was into music. I was into music. But he was into hard, metal screamo type music is what he did. And I was, I was more in the rapper field of music, but we had a lot of mutual friends. And that's how kind of him and I got linked up, and I brought him on as my co-host for my podcast. And then one day we were just literally on air kind of talking man, have you tried to find a wrestling school or anything like that? Because at the time I didn't know that wrestling schools like that existed for us to be able to join, because I didn't know a lot about the smaller sector of the indies like it is and things like that. I thought at the time it was just kind of WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and just those that everybody knew about, right? And then I just kind of Googled wrestling schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then one place came up, which was Metroplex Wrestling. So I hit him up to see if we could come out and do some photography and videography and really, just put him over on our podcast and, do the whole bit, interview some of their guys to air the interviews on our podcast, because it was a video podcast that we ran on Deep Ellum on air. And they let us come out and do that. And we went out with some of them afterwards, and this chick named Ruthless Lala sat down with us. And she was talking to us. She was like, hey, I know you've been talking to everybody about training. She was like, you could listen to what they say, and join them, and it'll be all good. She was like, but I do know this guy named Anthony Black Little Tony, who's a second generation wrestler. His father wrestled back in the day around with, Texas Red, aka now known as The Undertaker. His father wrestled him back in the day, so he has a good history. He'll treat you right. He'll train you right, even more importantly, for what you try to do and really care for you. Here's his number. Hit him up on Facebook. And, I would suggest going out and training with him. So, we could tell the genuineness in her voice when she was telling us this, and not just try to sell us on anything in particular. And so we hit up Anthony that next day. That was on a Saturday. She gave us that. I hit him up on Sunday. He said come out on Monday to try it out. And then I was out there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for years on, before we ended up opening up a place called DFW All Pro Wrestling Academy with a guy named Lamont Williams, who wrestles under the name of Lou Gotti Starrett. And we opened up DFW All Pro Wrestling together, which is a training academy out in Haltom at the time when we first opened it. Then, did the thing with Lamont and trained under him for a little bit. And then it kind of left there and started working with Sir Mo, myself a lot on kind of the business aspect of the game. And then, now we're at where we're at. It's been a total evolution, total making sure that we stay learning different ways, multiple ways to do this wrestling stuff, because there's so many styles. And I wanted to know all of them. So we made sure that, I stayed setting myself up. Tom made sure he stayed setting himself up to, stay learning all the different ways to be able to wrestle anybody and everybody.
So, Dontae, I got one thing out of that. You said a lot, but my mind stopped. When you said you were a podcaster and then you got into wrestling. So you're telling me you can train me to do what you do. That's where that's where it stopped. That I could be a wrestler. You're the first person that's told me that.
Yeah, man. And, you can do it. If you want it, you just got to grind it, brother.
You are legit. Everybody else is like, yes, Mark, you're a balding, fat 43-year-old. Yep. You're going to die. Al Snow, I went down to the OVW first ever combine back in 2019, and Al put me through like the media edition, and he said he wouldn't draft me. So
Yep.
You're better than Al Snow then. You are telling me that you're better than Al Snow and you're just going to push my ass off then, right?
I'm going to work your ass, brother.
All right, it looks like we're going to Texas, guys. Can Crushers is moving to Texas because Dontae Smiley is going to make me the next AEW champion.
And you know what's funny, man? When I first saw, I've been wrestling since 2014, and in 2014, I was 150 pounds when I first started wrestling. 6 foot, 150 pounds at about 15-16% body fat percentage. So still on the lower side, but it should have been lower with how light I was. And now I weigh 195 at like
Jacked.
7% body fat.
Jacked, yeah.
I've gained 45 pounds of pretty much solid muscle in the 6.5 years that I've been doing this. Yeah, it's been a testament of hard work, consistency, discipline. I work out all the time. I train all the time. Like I said, I'm a head coach at Bumps and Bruises Pro Wrestling Academy out here in Carrollton. You know what I mean? So now I get to share everything that I've learned because Mo has Mo qualified me for that position and brought me in to be in that position over his training schools and stuff, man. So it's been a hell of a ride, hell of an opportunity. A lot of blessings of some opportunity that's, been help created for me. And I'm enjoying the journey, man. I'm having fun and I'm always going to have fun. You just got to stay steadfast in the journey, man. Cause not everything happens overnight. You know what I mean? So you got to just keep on, keep it on more so. And it's going, nobody believes in me more than I believe in myself. And that's what keeps me going, so I never get down in any situations. I chalk stuff up to the game and keep the work moving and keep progressing to wherever it is that I want to get.
You brought up Mo. Does he sing and rap for you guys like he used to in the old day at all? Please tell me once in a while.
Mo, I've heard him rap there. Obviously the original Men on the Mission track that they used to rap. I've heard him do that, but that's a couple times, but that's about it. He ain't doing too much other rapping anymore, man. He's invested into the future of a lot of his athletes, man. He puts himself out there a lot, and puts his name on the line for a lot of people. He's invested in a lot of people and wants the best for all of the students and those that work for his company, and really advancing and doing things in a way that pushes the product, but also pushes the athlete, because ultimately, he has a good understanding that there is no him. There is no SOAR Championship Wrestling. There is no Chaotic Kingdom for Jason. There is no, OIWA or any of that without the athletes. You know what I mean? So he invests in those that he knows are investing in themselves and working hard and doing right by everything that they're supposed to be doing, and really cares for the next generation of wrestlers and try to get them big opportunities that he might have been restricted from back when he was trying to come up. You know what I mean? So, It's been, like I said, it's been great being able to work with him being a mentor and just kind of guiding me and just helping keeping my head on straight as, we worked through the process of obviously AEW Dark that I've been on a couple times. And, there's some other things I can't really speak on that, we got coming up here soon that are going to be some big opportunities also. And so it's about to be a hell of a journey, man. I was talking to somebody the other day, and the one thing I was telling them was, everybody's like, oh, this year's going to be my year. This year's going to be my year. Like all I have to say about 2021 is we're about to put the pressure on them, and that's the one thing that I can control is putting the pressure on people. And by people, I mean the big times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
yep.
when you make yourself undeniable, when you stay the hardest worker in the room. And they have no choice but to watch you because everybody's talking about you, or they're just hearing too much about you just over time and time again. You done put the pressure on them, and that's exactly what we're about to do in 2021. And we got some things in revolutionary ways. I think that he's going to try to change the game and opportunities coming up that people are just going to have their eye out for and make sure they're following and not getting left in the dust.
I've heard so much greatness about Mo that I'm going to have to reach out to him to get some stories and everything. But let's stay on track with you as we let's talk about your AEW moments that you had. You were on Dark number 52 and 53.
Right.
Back-to-back weeks, you fought the Best Friends, which is one of my favorite tag teams, and the
Yep,
Lucha
awesome,
Brothers,
yep.
which has one of the greatest talkers in professional wrestling by their side at that point, was Eddie Kingston. First and
Right.
foremost, we always want to know, how was the spread there? Did they feed you well? Did they feed you well at AEW?
Yo, they feed, man, that catering that they have there is absolutely amazing.
So we heard.
It is really good, man. Everybody was eating good. And the beautiful thing about, like, I've never worked extra for WWE, you know what I'm saying? But as far as AEW, you walk in there, and it's like you're part of the locker room already. You know, you go in, you introduce yourself to everybody, and at that point, you're one of the locker room people, man. They treat you just like they would treat anybody else. They make you feel at home, and, you know, go on, you know, and you just go on about your business like you would any other show. You know what I mean? You don't have to do anything extra other than be you, because the beautiful thing about AEW is 95% of those guys, damn near all of them, were at this level at one point in time, where they were, you know, tomorrow's hopefuls and things like that, you know what I mean, tomorrow's next. And so they know exactly what it's like for us to be at a place, you know, like that they were, because some of them were just there a year and a half, 2 years ago before AEW even got going, you know what I'm saying? So everything still hits close to home, man, and everybody just treats you like family, and, you know, they welcome you and just with open arms, and, you know, it's just nice and laid back, just like it is, you know, at this level, where just everybody has a spot, you know what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful thing about working there.
Yeah, we personally know Britt Baker, who grew up an hour away from my house, and Wardlow from Cleveland, but they both work for the IWC out of Pittsburgh, so we legit know them. A year ago, they were there, and now look where both of them are, and you could see that path, right, with you, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, a lot of people like to look like it happens overnight, so to speak, but nothing happens like that, man. It's just, you find out about us overnight, you know what I mean? But the journey has been, for some people, 5 years. For some people, like myself, you know, 6.5. For some people, 10 to 15 years before they start, you know, opening the doors and, you know, getting their foot inside there a little bit, you know what I mean? And that's what I say, you just got to, if you believe in yourself, you just got to stay steadfast in the journey and put people around you that want the best for you also, that'll help you, you know, get to where you need to. Because sometimes you need somebody to vouch for you. You have to have some people that are willing to risk it all for you to have that opportunity sometimes.
I said you fought Best Friends in the Lucha Brothers. Which match was, I'm going to be mean, you took the loss in both of them, but which match was tougher for you? Because I could see you working with Trent and Chuck, comparative to, because you're a bigger stature size, the Lucha Brothers are just all over the place. I know you said at one time you were a lightweight, but you're not light anymore, Dontae. You're a big guy.
Right. No, man. You know, but both of them just have such different styles. So it was really fun, man, because, you know, even though here in Texas, you know, there's a lot of lucha wrestling around here, but I haven't wrestled in a lucha style like that often. I could do a lot of lucha things in the ring because I have studied it. I have trained it, you know, a little bit in it to, you know, have some certain spots or whatever that are a little bit more lucha oriented. But wrestling two of the greatest lucha wrestlers of our time, you know, so to speak, arguably,
without a doubt,
was fun, man. And and the thing is, they're down for whatever too. That's the one thing with Penta and Phoenix. They are down for whatever, to do whatever, and will do whatever. You know what I mean? Long as it gets over for the show and they tell the story that they want to tell, then that's that. Whereas obviously, you know, with us and you know, myself and Mac Darden facing the Best Friends, that was a little bit more of even like a hard nosed kind of match. You know what I mean? We were beating the piss out of each other during that match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the strikes and the kicks and, you know, all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Then they gave me the double power drivers at the end of the match to end up going over. You know what I mean? So it was a very fast, hard fought match. Like I say, which was different from the Lucha match, which was a little bit more of elusiveness that we showed in that match, a little bit flashier, not as rugged necessarily during that match. And so it was so fun being out there wrestling those two different styles of wrestlers. They're all obviously great wrestlers and great at what they do, or else they wouldn't be there. You know, and to have that opportunity to be a ring with, you know, such legends like themselves, it was freaking awesome. And like I said, the whole experience of being out there was awesome. And I look forward to the time, if I have the opportunity to be able to go back, that I do, or, whatever my next is. Like I say, there's a few different things on the table. So just my next in general, regardless whether it's there or somewhere else, you know what I mean? It's going to be a blessing, and it's going to be well earned at the end of the day. So it was good.
Yeah, if you're on Dark, they got your eye on you. But somebody that's had his eye on you forever, it seems when you look at your wrestling match history, you've crossed paths with Shane Taylor like he is the Hatfields and McCoys. Like, you guys are just always at each other. What is your issue with Shane Taylor? My God. And then Keith Lee when he was younger as well.
Yeah, man, I faced Shane, multiple times. Even in the past when he was tagging with like Keith Lee and they were the tag team PBK, Pretty Boy Killers. Myself and my tag partner Todd Wilson wrestled them at a spot called VIPX, man. And what a rough match that was, you know what I mean? Then they go on to even, now years later to be both in the positions that they're at, you know what I mean? And now I'm in the position that I'm at, you know what I mean? And being able to wrestle Shane Taylor again, Shane's the reason the SOAR Heavyweight Championship became the SOAR World Heavyweight Championship, because when he had it, a couple years back, he was defending it across the United States and across the world and stuff.
Yep.
And so that's how they got the worlds on it. So it legitimately did become a world title with it being defended, across the nation and stuff. And so now me being the champion, he was coming back and felt like it was something of his, and we just had the history that we had. And, he calls himself, the baddest MFer to ever do it. And, he felt like I was in his way of the championship with me being champion. I felt like he was in my way, trying to say that my championship was his anyway. And, him just bragging on the fact that he made it the SOAR World Heavyweight Championship and all that, because the past doesn't matter. What matters is the now, you know what I mean? And that's what we had to face off about. But luckily, I was able to overcome him in that match. And it ended up going over in the end. I had to hit my double stomp to him from the second rope. But at the end of the day, he beat the ever-loving shit out of me that whole match. I had to muster up everything I could to just stay on my feet. Every time he threw a punch and it connected, I may have dropped, but I got back up every single time until the end, to where I was able to come out with a good victory at the end of the match.
Let's take a moment from wrestling and find out a little bit about Dontae himself. This I knew this before you dropped it on the podcast, but you're a gospel rapper, and please drop some rhymes, or however you say it. Please give me something for real. I want to know all about this.
Yeah, man. So all right. So when I told you, obviously, that I did music before wrestling at one point, which it wasn't gospel rap. It was more of your stereotypical hip hop rap music. And, a few years back, I got saved back in 2017 when I was going through some things, trying to find a mode of peace of mind. And then obviously my daughter getting older, and I could realize that she was kind of paying attention to a lot of the things that I was doing. And I just wanted to make some music, if I still was to make music like I have been, just not as much as I did back when I was fully into it. But I wanted to make music that she could listen to and wouldn't get in trouble at school if she started randomly rapping in the middle of class. So it was one of them things where, I just cut the cussing out in the music, started kind of doing a little bit more of a testimonial rap, as I like to say, which is just really storytelling on, what I've been through, how I've overcome my, depression that I used to have, and just the downtime that I had, 3-4 years ago and things like that, and how I got through it. So it's just making music that everybody can listen to. You know what I mean? And when me realizing it, that my daughter is getting older and listening to and watching the things that I'm doing, it was just very important to me to make some music that if she were to share it or be singing it or rapping it or whatever, that she wouldn't get in trouble doing it. And so that's kind of just why I changed up the tone of, how I was kind of doing music and how I went about making my music, along with, some life changes I made to just steadily, grow through life through the trials and tribulations. And, where I was at, because I'm at a different spot today than I was 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 12 years ago, when I was, doing, heavy into the music business. I've had meetings with William Morris Endeavor, WME, which is one of the biggest talent agencies ever, about 7 years ago. It was kind of right before I started wrestling. I took a trip out to LA and met with some people that worked in the non-scripted film department, which is what's non-scripted is like reality TV.
Okay.
And so that's when non-scripted is reality TV type stuff. So I met with some execs from that, met with different producers, and met with a couple A&Rs, and all that kind of stuff while I was out in LA for a full week, just doing meetings after meetings after meetings, party after party after party. And I had to just change from that. You know what I mean? Life was taking me a different way. I wanted to change my family's legacy and then create something that was untouchable for the Smiley last name and for the legacy of my daughter to have something to take on, whenever my day is called upon and I'm no longer here. And so it was just this whole change that I went through about 4 years ago, man. And it's been awesome, you know what I mean? Because I just see the look at my daughter's face when she watches stuff. I'm a better husband. I'm a better friend. I'm a better father. I'm a better son. Just better overall with the changes that I've made. And so, as far as going from the secular, as they say, rap music to, like the testimonial music, rap music that I do nowadays was just a testament of me wanting to be better and do right by my daughter with what she was listening to and could possibly be influenced by, since that we have control over that, obviously, as her parents. And so since I still wanted to do music, she's there when I'm recording, so I didn't want to be in there just cussing up a storm and, be this, be that, MF this, MF that type situation. Because you can't have them going on saying that kind of stuff,
right,
at their school and things like that. And so that was very important because she was starting to watch, and I knew coming back to doing music, if she was going to be watching like that, I had to make stuff that was appropriate for her to be able to listen to and see me recording and be part of and be able to recite and not have to worry about cutting her off before she might possibly say a bad word or something of the sort.
Right. That you're an amazing human being for doing that. There's a lot of people that will not do that shift that hard, and it's
right.
It's a complete, 180. Boom. You have to do it, and you have to want it in your heart. I completely respect everything you said about, the church and the gospel and everything like that. We're strong into that with our son. We're Catholic. He's an older boy. He loves it. He really does. It's all of that. And it gives you, not that we just go to church once a week or anything, but when you leave and we talk about God at home, anything that goes on, you just feel it leaving your shoulders. You guys get the same feeling, right?
Right, exactly. We know some grace and mercy, so we all need it.
Oh my God, yeah, sure. Especially with this dog right now. We'll get back to him.
Mine is laid up.
Right. So, do you have an album out there on iTunes, Spotify, anything like that people?
Yeah, I do. It's on all music streaming platforms. If they search my name, Dontae Smiley, it will come up. Or the album, the last album that I dropped is called Christ Over All Things. So they can type that in also and find it. And also I have both albums on a site that's called Bandcamp. It's thesmiley.bandcamp.com. And the album that I released in 2020 and the one I released in 2019 are both on that website right now.
Nice. You're not going to drop any for us right now? Nothing?
Not right now. They go listen to it. It'll sound better on the recording.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. Couple other things. I said that you're ripped. I mean, I don't know. You said 7% body fat, and I think that's a lie. It might be like a 0.7. All you do is eat kale, right? I mean, what's your guilty pleasure of food? Because it looks like you eat nothing bad.
Oh, no, man, no. I wish I could say I did it, right? But it's just a lot of hard work. It was a lot of in the early stages. Like I said, I've been back in the wrestling and fitness pretty much the exact same time. So 6.5 years, I started kind of doing both because I wasn't working out before I had got into wrestling. I started working out more because my trainer looked at me one day, Anthony, and he was like, I firmly believe skill-wise you'll get everything out of this that you want. And, as far as where you want to go with your work ethic, you'll get to wherever you want to. But one thing that you're going to have to do is gain some weight. He was like, you're going to need to get up to 190, 200 or above to really look great on TV and to have that look that you're strong and athletic and so on and so forth. They're like, yeah, maybe people can make it skinny, people can make it fat, whatever it may be. People make it of all different shapes, sizes, and looks. Yeah. He was like, but you're way too athletic not to be a little bit bigger with that athleticism, and you'll be able to do more in the ring. And I mean, he was right. So I took that to heart and immediately got a gym membership, started working out. Then I actually got training. I have 4 different training certifications also, because throughout the week I train clients and I do online training for people and other wrestlers and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I've had some of people's favorite wrestlers out there that, you know, have trained with me through my online programming and done the programming that I write. So it's been a journey, man. It's been a journey. My guilty pleasure food is just like a meat lover's pizza. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit of a pizza addict. I'm not going to lie.
That's respectful. Yeah.
If there's one food that I can eat multiple times a week, it's going to be pizza. Like, I'm not a burger guy or, also tacos. I love tacos. But tacos.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, but tacos can be relatively healthy, really, if you use a certain type of tortilla, or if you do a taco salad or something like that instead. Like, tacos are actually pretty freaking healthy for the most part, especially if you're using a nice lean meat, a nice lean steak that's low in fat percentage, and chicken or something of the sort. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I take in I do my macros and take in the right amount of carbs and take in a lot of protein, obviously, and get some good fats in there in the diet, and take my protein shakes. I mean, I do it all, you know what I mean? But I'll be lying if I said I didn't, if I was just like a full-on stickler just with every single meal that I have throughout the day, man. I show myself some grace and make sure I'm enjoying the journey as I stay, getting healthier for myself and for my family, and, doing everything necessary with that. And obviously helping other people view health and fitness, the same way as be it wrestlers, be it clients that I have, be it other humans that follow me on Instagram and Facebook that I inspire to get back into the gym and start working out for a healthier them, because that's more so what it's about. For some people, it's the look, but ultimately it's about, expanding our life expectancy on this earth, especially if we have kids. The healthier we are, typically, the longer we're able to live, you know what I mean? And so that's what it's about to me, man, because one day, my daughters are going to be athletes. I would think, possibly play a sport at some point in time or another. Maybe they'll be in band, but something that I'm going to have to travel and be on my feet for, and so on and so forth. And I want to be able to coach their teams one day, and, I'll do all that kind of stuff. And you can't do that, being all the way out of shape and stuff like that. So I keep myself healthy for myself and for change kind of that family legacy of these different diseases that can be brought on by ourselves. And then obviously for my daughter, for my wife, and for wrestling, you know what I mean? To be ready with everything and all these opportunities, that I have to separate myself from, my look from anybody else's look, and what I'm able to do.
That's amazing. That really is. You're giving to yourself what you're giving back to everybody else, and that's kind of how everybody should look at the world anymore. Moving along, what's the best advice that you got from anybody in the locker room? Like, did you twist anybody's ear while you're at AEW Dark, or was it Shane Taylor that sat down, or what?
I mean, first off, Shane Taylor does give some of the best advice.
He
Shane
does.
Taylor's, I don't know if you've ever interviewed Shane or watched his interviews.
I've talked to him, but
what you get out of Shane Taylor from any conversation, anybody would say this, he's one of the most genuine people that you will ever talk to. Like, straight up, he genuinely cares about the business. It's highly important to him. He's worried about it. He's super focused on, obviously what he's got going on over there at ROH, but really expanding, even outside of that for, his Shane Taylor promotions that he's going on. But the one thing, and it's funny because he said it, and Rodney Mack and Mo, all different times throughout my career. Rodney Mack said this to me probably about 4 years ago. Mo said it to me when his and I's relationship started growing, about a year and a half ago. And then Shane, after the recent match that we had, kind of repeated it. And one thing is just be unapologetically you. You know what I mean? They're like, the skill is the problem. Just be unapologetically who you are and take that to the next level. Don't change yourself for anybody. Be you, because you have the talent type. This is what they're telling me. They're like, you have the talent, you got the skill, you got the look, you got everything that you need. You know what I mean? Now go out and be unapologetically you and don't ask for anything, but kind of pretty much take everything. You know what I'm saying? That's yours, because you can only ask and knock on the door so long, and nobody open it before it's time to just kick it in and make yourself known and let people know you're here to party and that you're at the party. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I was saying earlier about what 2021 is about to be for us, with us putting the pressure on. That's us now. We've knocked long enough. Now it's time to kick in that door and really make our presence known across the board and fully, get myself out there how I believe I should be out there and am going to be out there.
Yeah, with everything you mentioned earlier about OIWA and things like that, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Dontae Smiley, and I'm pumped for it. This is my favorite question that I ask you guys all the time, though. And let's see if you listen, because a lot of the guys are like, all right, I know what it's going to be once I say the first two words. But there's a caveat with all of this. I want to know your dream match. But the caveat is who, what stipulation, and where. Like, nobody ever answers the where or the stipulation. I want a stipulation and a where. You're going to give me the who, because everybody always gives me the who, but damn it, give me a stipulation and where.
Man, it's like, for me, I kind of want to do a little bit of the opposite almost. Because I'm always big. I want to face, like, first and foremost, obviously, some people are scared to genuinely face the best of the best. I genuinely want to face the best of the best, because that's the only way you stay making sure you get better is by wrestling anybody that's at the top of whatever promotion it is at that time. And I'm going to play a little bit of political game, because I don't like playing one side, because I'm not signed, you know what I mean? So I don't like having to choose one promotion over another. But I know, obviously, for somewhere like the WrestleMania is their top show. You know what I mean? AEW, they're still working to have their top show, and so on and so forth. So for me, it's a top show of whatever company is out there. Their top show in a steel cage match against whoever the other top guy is at that time. Because I don't know if you've watched the steel cage match that Nate Lawson and myself have, which is on YouTube. Anybody that's listening that wants to watch it, type in Dontae Smiley versus Nate Lawson, and the steel cage match will come up. There's a lot of, wrestling has a very, very stern history when it comes to professional wrestling. Like, Texas is like the mecca of professional wrestling, one of them states that you just know that always had, we used to have the sportatorium out here.
Yep.
So wrestling has always been big. And there's been people that come to the SOAR shows that have seen cage matches from back then and seen some of the best from then till now. And there's multiple people that have stated, out of all the Texas wrestling steel cage matches that they've seen over the history of wrestling, that mine versus Nate was by far one of the best ones that they ever seen, because of the emotional roller coaster that they felt that we took them on. And so, like, I have a thing for steel cage matches. So, it's a top show of the year for whatever promotion, and a steel cage match against whoever the top guy is. For me, man, that's the best way I could put it, because that's my genuinely honest answer. You know what I mean? And it ain't about one name or another. I want whoever the top guy is at whatever the top show is of said promotion in a steel cage match. That way I could also jump off of it, because I like doing crazy stuff.
You do like
at the right time. You know what I mean? Everything has a time and a place. It ain't just doing it for no reason. It's doing it to get the right time and, tell a story always.
That had to be one of your greatest, family aside, one of your greatest moments when they say that that's the top steel cage match in Texas, because the Von Erichs against the Freebirds, the Von Erichs against anybody down there. You had Flair through there. I mean, back in the day, Dusty would roll in. So to be involved into that one of the top, that's congratulations, because I've seen many world-class championship wrestling matches in a steel cage, and you're talking about emotional roller coasters. But yours is right. You are right. I did watch that on YouTube, and I didn't know shit from Shinola of what was going on prior to this, you guys' history and everything. In the first 30 seconds, you were invested. You were either a son of a gun, or you're like, oh, man, come on, Dontae, come on. And you're just like, oh, my God, I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, man, and even, like, I remember, like, because, we, as wrestlers, like, we hear what everybody's saying and can hear the audience on the outside, but more than anything, you're waiting for these emotions to feed off of the people booing you because you're hurting their favorite wrestler, or, the emotional toll that we can hear on kickouts or big moves. And when they're in the right place at the right time, you know what I mean?
Yep.
We're people just like kind of like we're feeding people out the hand as we go along with the match in a way to draw this certain reaction out of them, to make them invested, get them on the edge of our feet, want us to be arrested at certain instances, want to cuss us out and throw something on us. I got told that there was a lady that cried in the audience about some of the stuff that I did in that match, and it was just absurd, just the reaction that we had got, because that's one match I hadn't got. I mean, I've got a lot of reactions from a lot of good matches with a lot of very, very good people, but that was my first steel cage match, and that was Nate, like second or third. But that was my first steel cage match, and to be able to hear people that are, in their 60s, in their 50s, in the, however old, and that say that was the best steel cage match, or one of the best steel cage matches that they've ever seen, is honoring, to say the least, because that means we 100% did our job, because that's what it's all about, is a show for them, is suspending that reality to make them feel one way or another way that we need to make them feel during, once again, that, that 20, 30 minutes that we're in there, putting our bodies on the line and doing what we're doing.
For sure. Well, I don't want to keep you much longer. I want you to give everybody your social medias and where you can come out and buy your merch and everything. You have a dog and a daughter to take care of, and I know. We're getting long-winded. We need to have a part 2. We really do have a part 2 in a couple months, and then talk more about other things that you've done, because we really just touched on your highlights. We need to dive into some of your other stuff, but. Tell everybody where they can buy your merch and your social medias.
Yeah, so you can hit me up on social media. On all of them, it's the same thing, which is at Primetime Living. That's PrimeTimeliving. So at Primetime Living across the board. So make sure you follow me. And then my Pro Wrestling Tees website is just ProWrestlingTees.com/Primetime Living also. So all my stuff is Primetime Living whenever you search it. You could Google my name, Dontae Smiley, and everything will come up also. Whatever's easiest, just make sure you follow me, because we're about to make a whole lot of noise and a whole lot of commotion here in 2021. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, guys, that we'll have them tagged and everything, so you'll be able just to jump off from our pages as well, just to follow Dontae. If you haven't heard about Dontae Smiley, get your ass out from underneath the rock, because he's amazing. You flew over the top rope onto the Lucha Brothers, too. I wanted to touch on that real quick. Again, a big man as you are, you fly so gracefully, so you do have a touch of Lucha in you.
I appreciate it, brother. I'm pretty elusive for how dense I am, that's for sure.
For sure.
What I mean? I have a 61-inch platform jump. You know what I'm saying?
Holy
so I'm landed on a platform that's 61 inches, right. Right, that video's out there on Instagram and some other places and stuff somewhere. But so I could, I'm blessed with. I have a 555 deadlift, squat 400, power clean 315. Like I've worked a whole lot on making sure I'm healthy, strong, prepared, flexible, got the look, got the aesthetics for what we're doing in this business, man. I'm definitely a testament of hard work for going from 150 to where I'm at now. But, the journey doesn't stop. We just, like I said, we just keep on keeping on, man, to stay being a better me so I can be a better me for everybody else.
For sure. All right, Dontae, a lot to come in 2021. We'll have you on again by the end of the year for sure. But right now, we'll let you go and do family things, because I respect that and I love it.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank y'all for having me on.
What a humble human being. Man, he is such a great guy. We spent a little bit of time after the interview, and we talked a little bit more about family and everything. Guys, if there's somebody to follow, somebody to watch, it really is Dontae Smiley. He is out there, busting his ass, doing what he loves, but he's also doing it for his family. I love everything about what he did with his gospel rap. Guys, if you haven't heard of Dontae doing this, head over to Spotify. Really check him out. Before I recorded the closing and I had some time, I went over and listened. This guy's good. This guy's really good. I love it. we just have a connection. It really is about, we both got our kids dogs for Christmas, or just the fatherhood of that. Dontae's a great guy. He really is. And I love how he talks so much respect about Sermo, Shane Taylor, just all those people that, paved the way for him, more or less. Guys, give him a follow. Go and buy some merch from him. As we always say, support indie wrestling, and, keep supporting Dontae Smiley, because hopefully we see him on Dynamite soon. Get him on more dark matches. Just get him up there, because this guy's great. And he's a great wrestler. He really is. But he's more of a great human being. And that's what I really like more about anything. I really do. The words are coming out hard, because he means a lot to me right now, just speaking to him for a little bit. We really connected, and that's awesome. So guys, follow Dontae Smiley and just support the living hell out of him. But remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.